Hi everyone. In this session, I would like to say a few words about inputs and outputs in an HTML script. We have already demoed how to create and use input and outputs in our simple recording of getting into the absences system and getting the data of the absences table. We saw that in general, any command that enters data into the application, like if we are typing in the username and password on the login page or selecting a value on any page, when we will upload the recording into the service manager, it will be automatically converted into an input parameter. And whenever we use a store command, which captures data from the web page, like the store text we have here, it will be automatically converted into output parameter once we upload the script to the service manager. So once we uploaded the script to the service manager, it looked like that. Let's put it side by side. We see that the two type commands became two input parameters, and the four store commands became four output parameters. The names of the parameters were generated automatically from the recorded command itself. For input, in this example, the type, it was taken from the value of the locator for this field. So in this field, it was located by the ID and the value was username field. So the name was generated as by ID underscore username field. As for the output parameters, it's more straightforward. For any output command, we have the name of the variable that we want to store the value in. So this variable name became the output parameter. So on output parameters, it's just straightforward. If we will look at the table of the input parameters, we see that we have two columns, name and label. We also have it on the output parameters, but I want to discuss it on the input parameters table. So the name is the technical name of the input for this service. And the default behavior would be that once we want to call this service, we will use this name to pass value to this service. But we have an option on the advanced details section below to say that we want to use the label as the name of the parameter instead of the name of the technical name itself. Why we will want to do that? Because sometimes the name is not really that readable. It doesn't look very good. And we want to change it to something more readable. So usually the label would be more readable, and we also can update it. So we can set this option, and then we can use this name, the label, instead of this more technical and long name. In HTML services, this option is set by default because usually the generated names are sometimes too long and not as readable as the labels. This also gives us the option, as I said, to change the name. Let's say that I'm not satisfied with the username and password fields called username field and password field. I only want to call it username. I want to remove the field suffix. So one way to do that is to edit the label, save it, and from now on, whenever I want to call the service, I can use username instead of username field. This would be the fastest way, but I'm not sure it would be the best way, because each time I will upload again the recording, let's say that I want to change something there and I want to re-upload it, then the name of the parameter will be overridden and will go back to be username field as it comes from the recorded script, and I will need to update it again. So if I want to fix it in the source, that is in the recording itself, this is the way to do it. I'm just standing on the input command, which generated the input parameter, and then I press on the button insert input command. This will generate a command that defines a variable, an input variable. The input variable can have default value and the name. So in the name, I will put the name that I want to use, username. In the value, I can put the default value that I had on the original input command. And now I need to link this new variable to the input command itself. Right now, the input command is using a default value and is generating its own name. If I wanted to use the input command, the input variable, what I need to do is replace the value with the name of the parameter. To do that, this is the syntax that I will be using. I will put dollar and then curly brackets, and inside I will put the variable name, the variable of the input command. And from now on, whenever it will get into the input command, the type command, instead of just taking the value from the input username field, the default auto-generated user field, it will take the value from the input parameter. How this would look on the service manager. So I'll just save it and re-upload it again to the service manager. For that, I need to remove the old service and upload it again. So it will analyze all the input and output parameters again. And let's see what happened. So now I have 3 parameters here. I have my username with the custom name that I just gave to the input variable. And I also have the auto-generated parameter that I already had in the previous version, the one that was generated from the input command. But as you can see here, the default value for it is a link or a reference to the input parameter, and it is marked as non-visible. The non-visible field means that although this is part of the input parameters of the service, it is actually a hidden input parameter. I don't really need to set a value for it when I'm calling this service. When I'm calling the service, I only need to pass values only to the visible parameters. So in this case, I will only need to set value for a parameter called username, and the player will automatically take the value and put it and resolve it as the value for the username field when it will be playing back the typing it into the username. So this is how I'm creating a custom input and integrate it into another command. In this case, I replaced the value of the type command with the value of the input parameter, and the reason I did that was because I wanted to change the name of the parameter, but I can do that in any command. I can put the name of the variable and ask the player to resolve it in any value that I have over here. And there will be several cases that I will be using it, and we will see it on some of the following sessions. So this was a few words about inputs and outputs. Thank you very much.